Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wired for Wonder. You're going to be clapping for a lot of people today, so I'd like you to do me a favor. In a few seconds, turn to your partners, give them a high five, a fist bump, let out a scream, and then give them a great round of applause for yourself. Because you're here, and you are the future. Woo! Yeah! All right, so I'm Tane. I'm a nerd. I'm a cancer researcher and the co-founder of Future Crunch. Right now, there are 6 people living in space, and a volleyball-shaped orb was just delivered to their home, the International Space Station. It's equipped with 14 different fans, which allows it to move effortlessly in zero-G, and it has a smiley face, which answers questions to the crew. Its name is Simon. It's the world's first robot, artificial intelligence astronaut. Now, a little bit closer to home, a new type of airplane, the Zephyr, just completed the longest continuous journey of 25 days at 70,000 feet. To put that into perspective, passenger airlines are rated at safety for 41,000 feet. And the reason it could do it was powered completely by solar energy. A little closer to the ground, a Canadian startup has just created a flying car. It's like something totally out of science fiction. It can go 100 miles an hour, and the coolest part about it, it's so safe you don't even need a pilot's license to fly one. Speaking of cars, Ford, who bought us the production line, has just announced in 7 countries the option for their workers to augment themselves with an exoskeleton, which reduces fatigue, injury, and allows them to lift 20 extra kilograms. A father and son team in New Zealand repurposed technology from the Large Hadron Collider to create 3D colored X-rays, which not only pick up bone, but tissue, nerves, skin, and sinew, giving us a much more intimate picture of patients' needs. Now, technologists in Tokyo have fused together rat muscle and robotics to create biohybrids. This fusion and combination of living cells, plastic, wire, and steel is creating and paving the way for new, more advanced, more lifelike robotics. So in the original Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger was right when he said, "I'll be back." Now, in Boston, some of the world's best geneticists, they're rewriting the code of life, DNA, and they've removed a fatal heart defect from a mouse embryo. That's the first time in human history we've removed a deadly disease from a mammalian embryo that had a natural birth and lived a healthy life. Humans are next. At Johns Hopkins University, they've created an artificial intelligence algorithm which can predict the effects and toxicity of millions of new type of cutting-edge drugs and chemicals, and it's been shown to be just as good as lab tests, which is awesome news for our furry little friends, because we're moving into a future without animal testing. And in the UK, a startup, a nuclear fusion company, has heated up plasma to 15 million degrees Celsius. That is hotter than the core of our sun. And by the way, I should probably point out that all of these stories have happened in the last 3 months. And the reason they could be possible was because of science. Science is our ability to make the seemingly magical real, to take what's in our minds and bring it into fruition. I mean, many of these stories are so crazy that a few years ago, no one even bothered to predict that they would happen. Now, because of the way we share knowledge today, and you're all very lucky, we stand on the shoulders of more and more giants reaching ever greater heights. That's why the world is changing so fast. But science isn't just about solar planes, flying cars, and cybernetic organisms. As the wise Carl Sagan once said, science isn't just a body of knowledge, it is a way of thinking. It's the best method that we all have to make sense of the world around us. And unlike ideology, science allows for correction. It constantly evolves, and given just a single piece of contrary evidence, it insists that we rethink everything we once knew. And as a scientist, when I get it wrong, I actually get excited because it means I've learned something. And that's why science is awesome. Those changes rapidly accrue, altering the world irrevocably. So why is a bearded millennial hipster from Melbourne here today talking to you about science? Well, science is the bedrock. It's the foundation upon which all of the disruptive technologies are built upon. They're affecting every single facet of our daily lives. And as future leaders, regulators, business owners, and politicians, you don't need to necessarily understand the science, but you need to understand the power and importance of it. So to tell you a little bit about how it's transforming our world, I need to go way back, way back to the dusty footnotes of history, back to the year 1995. Yep, that's me and my co-founder, Stephen Manos. He was a goth and had some pretty epic hair. And of course, I have snakes on my head and braids, so let's be honest, we weren't very popular back then. And no girls would ever talk to us. But then on opposite sides of the planet, here in Sydney, Australia, and me in Las Cruces, New Mexico, at almost the exact same time, this happened. So good. Now, you may not remember that sound, but that sound was glorious to me. Because 1995 was a big year for me. I got my first internet connection, I turned 12 years old, and I got my first girlfriend. And her name was Sweet Cheeks 13. And I met her on the internet. And I thought I was pretty lucky because at the time there were only 12 million people online. So I felt like I'd found a beautiful needle in a digital haystack. Now fast forward to today, 2018, there are 5.5 billion people on the planet over the age of 14. How many of them have phones? 5 billion. And 3 billion have smartphones. This is the quickest and largest uptake of technology in human history. Now more than half of the humanity, our fellow human beings, are connected to the greatest information resource humanity has ever known. Never before have we picked up a tool so quick and at such speed and scale. Now, as we all furiously tweet and connect and stream and download cat videos, we're creating trillions of terabytes of data. Not only do these data flows allow for the better movement of goods, finances, services, and people, they have value in their own right. In fact, since 2015, zeros and ones, data has accounted for more global GDP growth than the world's entire physical goods trade. Data is the new oil. That is not some Silicon Valley soundbite, it is an economic reality. Now, why is data so disruptive? To tell you about that, I have to introduce you to the most disruptive, the most powerful people on the planet. No, it's not the oil barons. Thankfully, they had their time in the sun. No, it's not the investment bankers, the wolves of Wall Street. They took too many drugs, stole millions of dollars, and brought the global economy to its knees. I mean, our lot is stuck in the Royal Commission. Today, in 2018, the most powerful people on the planet are the geeks. The geeks are working with code, and code behaves very differently from traditional technologies. In the language of economics, it has what they call a 000 set of qualities, which makes it very special. So what do I mean by that? The first is zero marginal cost of production. So once I've built a piece of code, it costs me nothing to make another one. I can copy and paste it as many times as I want. How cool is that? It costs me the same whether I make 1 or 1 million. The second is zero friction of distribution. So it costs me the same to send a piece of code to you in this room as it does to send to Timbuktu, Brazil, or Buenos Aires. How cool is that? No tariffs, supply chain management, shipping costs, zero. The final 000 is zero latency of updating. So when a new and improved version of Angry Birds comes along, we instantly get access to it. The software updates automatically. Many of your phones are updating as we speak. Now that's why technology, which used to be a sector on its own, and in my day a fax machine and an iPod, is now a layer over absolutely everything. Now, to tell you that story, I think they put on the wrong slide deck. So we're going to have to, so give yourselves another round of applause while the amazing technologists in the back get it sorted out. Woo! Actually, I have a question. What was the startup that a few people have done?
We created a video-based platform and a website to teach primary school students about science concepts.
Ah, cool. Science nerd. Give her a round of applause. And maybe while we wait, let's check out a cool space video. Did anyone see the Falcon Heavy? This is the rocket that is one day, a prototype of it, that is one day going to take us to Mars and make us an interplanetary species in many of your lifetimes. That's a bit more like it. So I want to encourage you that if you take one thing from me today, it's not about what's in here, what's in our phones, it's about what's in here. Because intelligence isn't what you know, it is how you think. I mean, many people know. I get paid to talk about technology. How cool is that? So intelligence isn't what you know, it's how you think. Many people know the earth is flat, right? That's ridiculous. But it's about investing in new ways of thinking. And that's what you need to do as future leaders and as our hope for humanity. Now, because you see, most of us are told to think that the world is a horrible place and we're doomed. Biologically, we're actually hardwired to react to the dramatic and negative. Our brains are like Velcro for the bad stuff and like Teflon for the good. And scientific studies show that when we see bad news, scary stuff, it overrides all other higher functioning parts of the brain. We stop thinking rationally. And it has a physiological effect. Our sweat output increases, our heart rate goes up, and our stress hormones spike. Whew, that gets me every time. Now, humans are also empathy machines. We're really good at taking other people's emotions and feeling it ourselves. So not only is fear addictive, it's contagious. And in this hyper-connected world, a single negative emotion can affect an entire population. Fear is like a mind virus, and it's really good for politics and media and Twitter and Facebook, but it's terrible for perspective. That's why things like Ebola makes headlines, but doctors' bad handwriting does not, even though it kills more people. It's why we celebrate dangerous and scary professions like firemen, but we don't celebrate professions like nursing as much, even though nurses save more lives. And the reason they can save more lives is they can read doctors' bad handwriting. Now, don't worry, it gets worse. Because when we begin to feel bad about the planet, think that Ebola is coming, a terrorist is around the next corner, robots and AI are going to steal all your jobs, and humanity is doomed. When we feel that way about the planet, we actually actively go out to seek more information that confirms it. It's called confirmation bias, and it's powerful knowledge. It actually won Daniel Kahneman a Nobel Prize in 2002. It's part of the reason we've all woken up in this post-truth alternative fact world. Now, and then when these strong beliefs are challenged, we dig in and fight even harder for those beliefs. It sucks. It's a terrible feedback loop. We get stuck in our bad news bubble, and it's really difficult once we're in it to get out. And that's why so many of us feel so bad about the fate of the world. And you know who said that best? My mentor, Yoda. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering. Yet, human beings, we're the most social creatures on the planet. We are exquisitely tied to narrative and storytelling, and you have a choice. You can choose which story will drive your future, one of hope or one of despair. Now, optimism doesn't need to be naive or a reaction. It's a choice which will help you navigate your world and encourage you to make the world a better place. Now, it's not only that you're moving into a world where data is the new oil, we're all connected, technological disruption, and we're embedding code into everything. It's that the code itself is evolving. You're lucky. We're in the midst of an artificial intelligence explosion, teaching our machines to learn, to listen, to read, to write, figure out what's an orange and a banana. Very useful things. But most importantly, react dynamically with our environment and allow us to analyze, forecast, and predict in ways we never thought possible. Now, in medicine, my field, it's a godsend. We're already using intelligent code to read brain scans of 6-month-olds to determine whether they're likely to have autism. Human clinicians, by contrast, have to wait till the kid turns 2. We're using similar algorithms in our hospitals to diagnose Alzheimer's up to 9 years before clinicians can, and even begin to discover invisible tumors in X-rays. At the Cancer Research Hospital in Melbourne, I write machine learning and AI to read DNA and figure out what genetic changes are causing cancer. From this information, we can catch it earlier, find out why it's becoming resistant, and even develop new therapies to improve patient outcome. This intelligent code has given us an incredible new weapon in the fight against a devastating disease. Now, it's all about analyzing data. It's like the oil refinery to make value and sense of this digital world. Google just unleashed their algorithm DeepMind on all of its data servers to manage energy. It's increased energy efficiency by 40% and saved them hundreds of millions of dollars in energy management of their data servers. That's a single piece of code. What happens if we did stuff like that in the grid of our cities? Now, police forces around the world, right? They're getting their hands on facial recognition software. That's pretty creepy, right? That's why I can't go to China, unfortunately. Now, so this is something out of the nightmares of the dystopian dreams of Orwell and Huxley. I mean, many of us have seen Black Mirror, right? We know where this ends. But I bet you didn't hear about what happened in Delhi, India, where police there got their hands on 200 facial recognition glasses. The first thing they did, upload a database of all the city's missing children and their photographs, went to the orphanages, and in 4 days, tracked down 3,000 of them, reuniting many of them with their families for the first time in years. Perhaps one of my favorite applications for artificial intelligence is language translation. This is a prototype of the first in-ear instant translation device called Pilot, which is going to allow us to talk in any language to anyone, anywhere in the world in real time. If you're a Hitchhiker Guide to the Galaxy fan out there, this is the real-life Babelfish. Since the dawn of time, our ability to not understand each other, our inability, has been one of the key impediments in human progress. In the lifetimes of every single person in this room, these language barriers are going to fall away. All right, so what does this mean for you? You live in the most extraordinary time ever. Hold on, things are moving fast. The pace of change is never going to be slower than it is today. So remember, it's not what you know, it's how you think. And tune your information streams to get real evidence, real facts. That's going to help you make the world a better place and help repair some of the damage the grown-ups and our ancestors have done. Now, remember, cynicism is easy. You're never disappointed or wrong when things go bad. But by contrast, when we describe the way a better future can be built, we redraw the boundaries of what's possible and show that the realm of choice is often much larger than we think and could even include paths that lead to the end of fossil fuels, disease, and war. But none of this needs to be naive. We can understand the massive differentials in power and wealth in our society, and peoples whose prosperity are tied to the misery of others and planetary destruction. We can anticipate the setbacks and failures, those disappointments and betrayals, and even the possibility of complete failure. But we can also believe in an intelligent and courageous optimism, one that will confront the politicians, business leaders, and the charlatans that tell us that the world cannot change. And science, technology, and human ingenuity give us many of the tools we need to make this world a better place. They give us intelligent reason to believe that action is possible, that better solutions are available, and that a better future can be built. And that shared belief in a better future, it's the strongest glue there is. It gives us the opportunity to love one another, to respect one another, to work together. And that is an explosive force in the world in which we live, work, and play. So good luck. Go out there, make humanity, your teachers, your parents, and most importantly, yourselves proud. Thank you very much.